Hello, my continuously creative quilting friends. Today is day 15 of our shelter at home order here in Colorado, and it's 2 o'clock. It's Facebook Live time on Donna's Design Threads, and I'm Donna, and I'm really happy that you joined me today. And I was wondering how you guys are doing with this little bit slower pace of life. Like, all of the busyness has just been ripped away from us. There's no driving the carpool. There's no running 50 errands a day or getting here, getting there. We're all just kind of hunkered down, and it's a really different way of life for a lot of us. So I thought this might be a really good opportunity to learn about something new and to, because even just because it's been forced on us, that we need to slow down. And maybe through this time of slowing down, maybe there's a little part of you that has realized this little bit slower pace of life isn't so bad. I mean, of course, we miss our friends and being able to do our fun social activities that we love to do. But maybe we can take away from this time carving out some time on purpose to slow down. That's kind of some of the stuff I've been getting out of this time. But actually, a while back, probably a few years ago, I heard about this movement called the slow stitching movement. And it includes all kinds of different, like, work with your hands kind of fiber arts, like hand quilting, hand piecing, crocheting, knitting, tatting, rug hooking. There's all kinds of different, those things that you have to do by hand. You're not using a machine. So, of course, I picked up on the hand quilting part of it. And I, I really wanted to learn how to hand piece my quilts, because I think I told you a while back when we were doing quilt stories and stuff, how much I love to go look at antique quilts. And a lot of times you'll find unfinished antique quilt tops in the antique stores or the antique booths and that kind of a thing. And so I picked up a few of those along the way, and I probably will machine quilt them because that's what I do. And some of them just have some really great opportunities to be able to do some beautiful long arm custom hand machine quilting on. But a lot of them, if you look at the back of them, if they're unfinished, you'll see a lot of them are hand pieced. And last summer, a year ago last summer, my husband and I bought a little camper for our truck, and he loves the outdoors. I'm not so much an outdoorsy person, but it's nice to get away, and it's time that we can go away and spend together. So I had to come up with some projects that I could do by hand, because it's just a little camper shell. It's not like, your big Winnebagos that you can put, have a little table with your sewing machine and electricity and all hooked up and stuff. So it definitely had to be something that I could do by hand. And what I came up with was doing some research and finding out a little bit more about the hand piecing. So this quilt behind me is the first quilt that I hand pieced. Completely, every single piece cut out with a template and scissors, and then just hand piecing all those pieces together. And actually what I found was that, well, number one, I really enjoy it. And number two is that it's so much easier to get those seams that they're called Y seams, where you have to like stop in the intersection before, then put the other piece in and then pick back up. And I've tried a few of those on the sewing machine and could never end in the right spot, and always would get tucks or puckers or whatnot. So was never a fan of doing those Y seams, or sometimes they're called a set-in seam. And I'll show you a little bit more when I show you some up-close stuff. But I wanted you to see this pretty baby. And I actually am working on hand quilting this one now. So it's already been in progress for a couple of years, and it's probably going to be a couple more. But I do enjoy it. I've been learning a lot about how to just slow down and enjoy the process, enjoy the journey of the stitching and how that comes out, instead of just, hurry up, how many things can I get done? Which I do like that part too. It's just a totally different flip side. So I have a couple other ones already started because I enjoyed doing this one so much. When I finished piecing that one all together, I had to get another one going. So at Quilt Market, gosh, it'll be 2 years ago in May now that I got to go to Quilt Market with my mom. I took a class from this gal. Her name is Carolyn Forster, and she's from England, and she wrote this book called The Handmade Quilt. Oh, here's a little picture of her. She was just really cute. That was really fun. That class was a lot of fun. So learned some more techniques on how to get a little bit more precise and just get a little better at my hand piecing. So I decided to make this quilt since I got the book for taking the class. And also it's like a skill builder type. Oh, obviously that's what it says, but she starts you out with some pretty simple ones. And I'll show you a few of them that I have done already. And then she moves on to these more complex ones that have like the curved seams or more set in and stuff. So this one I have started, and I'm going to flip this over so this one was a pretty basic block with all just straight seams. Oh, you start out really, really easy with just sewing some like bricks, like some rectangles together. Here's some with just the squares. So again, those are all just set in. This is a really fun one. So I have several. I think I'm probably about halfway through those. Here's just some simple hourglass blocks, some flying geese, some more churn dashes. Oh, this is probably one of my favorites of it. Let me turn it over the other really fun thing, because like I said, you do cut all these out with templates, and it really gives you an opportunity to like fussy cut. So I have a huge bin of all Tula Pink fabrics, the designer. And so I'm making this quilt all out of her fabrics. So here's another example of this one's starting to get a little bit more complicated, but still pretty easy. This one, I fussy cut this fabric in the exact same location for each piece, and that's how you kind of get that kaleidoscope look. So that was fun. Now here's one that had a little bit more set in seam, so that was a little trickier, but a lot of fun. A cute little unicorn in there. And then these are the blocks that I'm working on now. I think I only have one more of them, and I'll have these done. So these are like Lemoyne stars. And again, fussy cutting the fabric all along, all in the same spot, so you get that kaleidoscope. So this is what I'm talking about with a set-in seam, okay? Right here, when you sew these two, first you sew all the star pieces together, then you sew the triangles around the outer part, and you have to, this seam right here has to stop right here so that you can fit that piece in. And when you're doing it on the sewing machine, it's a lot trickier to get because you can't really see exactly right in there where it's at. And so I would always overshoot it, or it'd get off. So with the hand piecing, it's a lot easier to be more precise in that. So last summer, I took a class from Pat Yaman with the Colorado Quilt Council, and I started this one. So this is the only, I don't know, this is probably going to be on the back burner, but it's always fun to take classes. I think I've told you that before. Even if you just learn one thing in a class, everybody has their own way that they do things, or little shortcuts or tricks. So I wanted to show you with this one though. So this one came with templates Oh, and they're clear, and I just dropped it and I can't see it. So I'll just show you this one. You see, they're clear. I like the ones that have a little bit of color better because they're easier to find if they drop on the ground or somewhere else. So anyway, having the templates are really nice because then you can just set that on your fabric, trace around it, and then I just cut them out with scissors. You could use a rotary cutter, but again, sometimes I'm out and about. If I have them traced on, driving in the car on a road trip, I can just cut those pieces out that I have traced. So these ones were for the little diamond shapes. So this one's called 31 hexagon and 30 diamonds. So it'll eventually be all of those. This is just one of the hexagons with the 30 diamonds. So that was a lot of fun. That one had a lot of set-in seams. So, like I said, I traced them all out first, and then I take them to, I'll put one block, like if I had those all traced out, I put them all in a baggie for each block. Then I can just take the baggie. This is my little hand sewing kit, and this just fits in my purse or bag or whatever for the road trip. So really nice little, I'll show you all my little tools that I have in here. Take these blocks out. Okay, thread is a really important choice. I like to use a little bit heavier weight than piecing on the sewing machine. So I use a little bit heavier weight thread. I think this is a 28 weight. And then just a regular pencil, little scissors. A good thimble is really important to have in your little travel bag. And just a few pins. You just need, isn't this little button is so cute with the little pins on it. And maybe a couple little clippy things to hold things together too. So that's my little kit. Oh, of course, you got to have the little seam ripper because even sometimes hand piecing, you have to unsew. So I have a little seam ripper in there. And then my tiny little scissors. So once you have your pieces traced and then cut out, I do like to draw my seam allowance on it. So you can see those pieces. This is my last little Lemoyne star for the Tula Pink one. And this little paper board, you can make your own. Just get a piece of foam board and put a piece of sandpaper, really fine grit sandpaper on it. And it makes it really nice so that the piece doesn't move around, especially when you're traveling in the car or whatever. But it holds the fabric on there while you're drawing the line so it doesn't move. Like sometimes you're trying to trace and it scoots around. So that's helpful. Then you need a 1/4 inch seam. This is actually a 1/2 inch. So you line up that line in the center with the edge of your fabric and you can just draw your 1/4 inch seam allowance on there. I thought when I first started doing hand piecing, I didn't need to do that, but I found that I really don't go as straight on a 1/4 inch as I thought I did. So I just think it's a lot more helpful. So then you have all your pieces ready to go. I can show you this one has a few already sewn together. So the next one, so you can see here how I stopped sewing at that point, right? Because now my next piece has to come along and fit right next to that. Okay, so you line up the next piece to and this one, because I fussy cut, I got to make sure it's going the right direction. Yes. And then if I'm going to start sewing on this end, then I put a pin at where I'm going to stop. And I'm going to match the pin right where those two lines that I drew intersected through both ends. Okay, turn it on the other side and look. Okay, so I pin that. Then here on this end, I'm going to line up. I'm trying to see if you guys can see. I'm going to line up that point with the point on the piece that I'm starting with. And then you just do a little running stitch, as tiny stitches as you can, just running right along that seam that you drew. So that's it. That's how I do my hand piecing. And I can just take it in the car, take it when I'm going somewhere, take it on our camping trips. I have another one started. This is crazy. I didn't even realize till I pulled these out to show you guys this stuff that I'm going to have going. But this is one that my mom and I started together. This is a Jen Kingwell one called Florence, and she really wanted to make it with me because that was her grandmother's name was Florence, and she wanted to do some hand piecing. So we got together in February before all the crazy started, and we got all our Jen Kingwell fabrics together, and we got all of our pieces cut out for it. And it's just been a lot of fun. Oh, let's see. Cindy asked, why do I use a heavier weight thread with my hand piecing? And the reason that I use a heavier weight thread is it's a lot easier to work with. It doesn't tangle as much as you're pulling in and out so much, less breakage. And it just fills it up a little bit more, it just feels a little hardier. I thought you would want to use a thinner thread, and I just kind of have picked up this tip through some of the teachers that I've done the hand piecing with. So hope that helps. And thanks you guys for hanging out with me today. And I will see you tomorrow. Be continuously creative every moment that you can. And even if it's slow or fast or however you like to create, just have a great time. And I will see you tomorrow here on my Facebook page at 2 o'clock. Bye.